What's going on, dividend chasers? It's the Dividend Bloodhound here with another investing episode. In this episode we are going to talk about Airbus versus Boeing, the two major players in the aircraft production industry and the defence sector arguably in the world. Now what I would say about this is that these two manufacturers form a duopoly essentially of aircraft manufacture around the world. They're both absolutely humongous corporations based on where they're from. Airbus is European based and Boeing is American based, but they both have global operations everywhere around the world. They're both multi-billion pound corporations. However, their share prices at the moment have been absolutely smashed through the floor by the health crisis that we're experiencing due to the lack of flying that's going on. Airlines are being pressured into cancelling their orders or slowing down or delaying them, and that's having a knock-on effect. Boeing was already having its own issues before this with the 737 MAX crisis, struggling to get that back in the air, and its own financial issues in borrowing money before this crisis hit. And now this crisis has hit, it has just wiped it, has absolutely tanked the stock. I mean, it was at the start of the year worth well over $300, up to $350, and now it is languishing around the $140 mark. Airbus isn't in such bad trouble in terms of getting its aircraft in the air, but it is also suffering aircraft cancellations exactly the same as Boeing, and its share price has been hit almost exactly as hard as Boeing. So it's currently sitting at around €50 a share, 47-50 euros a share, and yet at the start of the year it was also at €130 a share. So both of these aircraft manufacturers have been put straight through the floor by this crisis. What's important to remember here is that these aircraft companies don't just make commercial aircraft. Yes, it is the majority of what they actually do, but they're both heavily involved in the defence sectors, which I will go in later, and they're both heavily involved in the space sectors as well, with satellites and the launching of satellites and space exploration, etc. That being said, I'm going to get into some analysis now and actually compare Boeing in one hand, Airbus in the other, and actually see who is in better shape to come out the other side of this. You might already have your mind made up on this, but let's just see if the figures tell a different story to what people naturally would think at the moment. Catch you in the analysis. Catch you in a bit. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the second part of this video, and you join me in the Trading 212 app, where I'm going to conduct some stock analysis on both Airbus and Boeing. Now, just to get this out there, I am a shareholder in both of these companies. Slightly heavy, well, I'll say slightly heavier, heavily more Boeing at the moment than Airbus, but this will in no way tint my analysis of the company as I'm planning on looking at both of them anyway. What I will say is, please do not take this as financial advice that you should invest in these companies. I've done my own research further to what's in this video, and I'm in no way recommending that you buy either of these stocks. This is purely just my opinion. Anyway, let's actually get into the analysis, and we'll start first with Boeing, since that's what I've memorized most. So as you can see here, its current stock price is $141 a share, but it finished last year and started this year off all in the 300s until the crisis began to hit hard, and then poof, straight down, all the way down to $95 at one stage. Anyway, quick basics of the company. Its ticker symbol is BA. It has a market cap currently of $83 billion. It doesn't have a dividend or dividend yield at the moment because this has been suspended due to the crisis, the health crisis and the 737 MAX crisis. They're trying to keep hold of some of the cash at the moment to keep the company afloat. Its earnings per share is $8.32. As I said, it's currently trading at $140 per share. It's been down to 95, but started the year at 383. And its current net income, as we can see down the bottom here, is minus $636 million. That is pretty big, but judging on what's happening at the moment, it could be a hell of a lot worse. And I think this is due to Boeing's diversification into a lot of other sectors. So Boeing is made up of 5 different sectors. It has its commercial airline side of things, which we've already talked about really. It's staple aircraft, the 737, the 747, the 777, all of these aircraft that are absolutely moving people A to B all around the world. Not as much at the moment, but every day usually thousands of people get on Boeing aircraft all around the world. The next sector they're in is defence, so they provide a lot of defence equipment, not just to the US government, but to other countries all the way around the world. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of some of the things I found during my research. So, Boeing produces the Harpoon missile, numerous drones, the F-15 Strike Eagle in collaboration with others, the Poseidon aircraft, the maritime patrol aircraft, the Hornet aircraft that is, or the Super Hornet that it now is, that's on the United States aircraft carriers and others. It has a tilt rotor collaboration, the V-22 with Bell aircraft, which enables the rotors on the aircraft to tilt from from lifting the aircraft upwards conventionally like a helicopter to tilting forward, so it then turns into a propeller driven aircraft. A very sophisticated piece of equipment. And they also produce the Chinook, the Apache helicopter, and then duck off into the space and security sector. They have lots of computer software, firewalls that they enable the US government to have. They do rocket launches to put satellites into space and space exploration. They also launch and own numerous satellites. That is just to name a few of Boeing's major segments that they actually almost dominate the sector in, to be fair. They're headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. However, they have operations including manufacturing or research in 24 US states and a footprint that is global in most developed countries. As you can see there, 160,000 employees. This company is a huge company, and one that the US government will certainly not let go bankrupt anytime soon. So yes, the share price is down at the moment. Yes, dividends are suspended. However, this company has got a future ahead of it once it sorts out its the 737 MAX issues and this crisis subsides and everything sort of returns back to normal. I would look for the share price to eventually start increasing and the dividends to eventually return as well. Anyway, that analysis is now complete, so we'll move on to Airbus, which is almost the European answer to Boeing. They both of them dominate the sector globally. There's no other major aircraft manufacturers out there that can compete with these two, really. And it seems, from what I've seen between Twitter feeds, that they actually, considering they're like arch rivals, these companies actually get on rather well with each other, and they congratulate each other on aircraft launches, etc. So, although they're competitors, they actually they know that they dominate the market, so they're not in any particular rush to see each other off, essentially. Anyway, we'll get into some of the analysis. So, Airbus has the ticker AIR or AIR, has a market cap of 47 billion. euros this is, of course. Dividend yield still intact at the moment. Dividends are still being paid at 2.5%. They have a revenue of 70.48 billion, earnings per share of 2.89 euros. And this is the key bit though. We thought Boeing's net income was bad. Check this out. Airbus has a net income at the moment of minus 1.36 billion euros. And when we consider that the euro is more valuable than the dollar, Airbus is 3 times in the debt than, or makes 3 times less income at the moment than Boeing. Now that really did surprise me when I did this research, because I thought Boeing was going to be hit the hardest by this one. So it currently sits at 57 euros a share. I may have said 47 euros earlier, I do apologise for that. It's currently sitting at 47 euros a share, but when you look at where it originally came from, it was up at 136, and it has dropped down. I think 47 was its absolute lowest at one stage. Can't quite find it on here, maybe it didn't. So we'll call it 50 euros then. It has been its absolutely low. So similar to Boeing, Airbus has pillars to its operations. It has its commercial side, as we saw with Boeing. They have their A380, the world's biggest passenger aircraft, the double-decker one, and then down to the usual one, the usual traditional airliners that, like the A330, that operate along most of the rest of the routes that aren't quite so popular. But yet they still have their Airbus helicopter industry. So they've got medium, light and heavy lift helicopters that they give to they offer out to European militaries. They have the Airbus Defense sector, which is exactly the same or very similar to Boeing's sector. These companies, as you can see, are very, very similar to each other. And Airbus Defense offers weapons to European militaries, launches satellites, offers missiles for launchers and rockets for launching other countries' satellites that don't have the launch capability, but they've built the satellite. Airbus will take that process on. They're also involved in human space flight, and they also make different types of weaponry too. They are headquartered in France, in Bergen. Sorry, I can't read that properly. A large manufacturing section is in Toulouse in France. They're all over Europe, to be fair, but I've just picked a couple to name offhand now. So we have a lot of main manufacturing areas in Toulouse, France, Hamburg in Germany and Seville in Spain. And then I also noticed that the UK makes all the wings for every Airbus aircraft in Broughton, and these aircraft are then transported to Toulouse these aircraft wings, should I say, are transported by the Beluga aircraft, a very funky looking cargo aircraft that brings all the wings in for final manufacture. And that gives the UK a pretty hefty segment towards every European aircraft or Airbus aircraft that's ever been produced, apart from the Chinese Airbus aircraft, because China decided that it wanted to build the wings itself over there, which is perfectly understandable. Now, just to wrap things up here, I would say that both of these companies have been hammered right now, perhaps a little bit unfairly. However, especially in terms of Airbus's price hammering, because it hasn't, although it is in a lot of debt by the look of it, it hasn't got the issues that Boeing has in returning its flagship aircraft to flight. The 737 isn't due to fly again commercially, carrying passengers for quite some time, whereas Airbus can just pick up its operations as soon as this crisis is over. But personally, in my opinion, both of these stocks for me as you will see in my free trade portfolio updates and my trading 212 updates, I am a shareholder in both of these and I believe in both of these companies. You've got to take a very long-term view, especially for the dividends to return to Boeing. But I think the upside on both of these stocks is huge, and you could potentially make yourself a little bit in the appreciation and then even more so with the dividends over time. But again, as I would say, this is no way me telling you to buy your own shares in these. This is just my opinion and my analysis, and me saying that I have put my money where my mouth is and I've bought into both of these companies. With that being said, I'll take you back to the real world now. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Thank you for having the endurance to stick to the end. If this video has brought you some value, please hit the like button in the corner there, or the subscribe button if you're new here. That would be great. I really appreciate this support coming from you guys. It's really helping this channel grow and get the information out to as many people as possible. Please feel free to share on social media, share down your own social media channels. That would be absolutely amazing as well. Thank you for having the endurance to stick around to the end. I desperately need the watch time, so thank you very much for that. I will catch you again in the very next video. See you very soon. Goodbye.